All right, viewers, we're going to give you certain images that pretty much define the course of what happened today. It was to be Yogi Adityanath's day. We were to hear him, he never spoke. But what came out in terms of sheer optics, in terms of sheer political messaging, was the duo of Narendra Modi with Yogi Adityanath. Well, was this the launch of campaign for the Bharatiya Janata Party 2024? We'll only know in times to come. But today, the day belonged as much, or rather more, to the Prime Minister Modi as it did to the Chief Minister now, the incumbent Chief Minister, Yogi Adityanath. All right, viewers, let's now get to you. Yogi Adityanath took oath today in this particular stadium, which was packed to the gills, over 60,000 people. Everyone from the BJP top brass in attendance. 12 chief ministers of the BJP, sitting CMs, were here, alongside the other chief ministers that BJP has allied with. Nitish Kumar was here. Half of Narendra Modi's cabinet was here. Glittering ceremony when 50 of Yogi Adityanath's men took oath alongside him.
आदित्यनाथ योगी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि
Yogi Raj 2.0 has begun in Uttar Pradesh, and it was ushered in by one of the grandest oath-taking ceremonies ever seen in India. It was a power show all the way, with Prime Minister Modi and his cabinet dross attending the swearing-in at the Atal Stadium. Also present were the chief ministers of all BJP-ruled states. Industrialists, film personalities were among the 50,000 people who filled the stadium. The new Yogi government has 2 deputy CMs and 50 ministers. KP Maurya, a prominent OBC face who failed to save his seat, was retained as deputy CM. Law Minister Brajesh Pathak was elevated as the second deputy CM, replacing Dinesh Sharma, who was dropped from the cabinet. Yogi's second government includes new faces like AK Sharma, Asim Arun, Jitin Prasad and Baby Rani Maurya. From bulldozer rallies to pujas at temple, BJP cadres celebrated the historic second term of the party in India's most politically important state. The symbolism in the win in Uttar Pradesh and what it means for the 2024 general elections was more than evident in the saffron wave that swept Lucknow on Friday. For the BJP, the countdown has already begun. Bureau Report, India Today.
भारत के संविधान के प्रति
Colleague Abhishek Mishra, who's joining us. We're going to break down the cabinet as well later on through the course of this bulletin. But today, Abhishek, was all about optics. What was the reason why Yogi Adityanath never made the speech after taking oath? You know, he did it the last time around. Why not this time?
Well, absolutely, and you know, it is very important the way the whole function happened. You know, we have seen the visuals, how Yogi Adityanath was there and he took the oath, and afterward we have seen the new cabinet, and there has been a replacement. You have seen, we have seen how Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Maurya was there, but a change of Brajesh Pathak joining that seat, but not Dr. Dinesh Sharma, and also very prominent other leaders were replaced. Many cabinet ministers were replaced, but the overall, it looks like that, you know, the names which were going on, and there was a discussion over as far as, you know, giving chances to the new faces is concerned, balancing the caste equation, and at the same time, there has been 5 of the women MLAs, women ministers in the cabinet. So quite of a balance, but yes, primarily it looks like that the target is the 2024 battle. All those faces and all those participation of different caste leaders, clearly an indication that what it takes for this cabinet to take that time. And now it's quite clear that with the 2.0 government now, who is going to begin its work under the leadership of Yogi Adityanath, will be working primarily hand in hand with the union government. And the another focus is, of course, the battle for the 2024. Yes.
You know, Abhishek, take us through. We were talking about the hits and misses of what happened today. In terms of misses, some names that do intrigue. Rajnath Singh finds himself missing. Shrikant Sharma was expected to be dropped, but again finds himself missing. Mahendra Kumar missing. And importantly, the minority minister also dropped this time.
Well, absolutely, and it looks like that there has been a call about these ministers. We were discussing about how, there will be a prominent leaders, but not inducting these ministers is a clear indication that the party had some other plan as far as, removing these prominent names from the list. Yes, Shrikant Sharma has done a good job as the, Minister of Power.
So just come in, Keshav Prasad Maurya, right now, the Deputy CM, newly minted. Listen it.
माननीय राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी के प्रति, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी के प्रति, अपने संपूर्ण राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्व के प्रति, प्रदेश नेतृत्व के प्रति और अपने माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के प्रति हृदय से आभार प्रकट करता हूं कि उन्होंने दूसरी पारी में भी मुझे वही स्थान देने का काम किया जो मुझे पहली पारी में पार्टी ने दिया था।
काम करने का तरीका और सरकार का बुलडोजर खूब चर्चा में है।
नहीं, चर्चा बहुत सारी चीज़ों की है, लेकिन मुख्य रूप से चर्चा यही है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जो गरीब कल्याण का यज्ञ पूरे हिंदुस्तान में चल रहा है और उत्तर प्रदेश में हम लोगों ने 5 वर्ष अच्छे ढंग से चलाने का काम किया है और आने वाले 5 वर्षों में वह गरीब कल्याण का यज्ञ शानदार ढंग से आगे बढ़ेगा। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद। तो हमारे साथ मुख्यमंत्री केशव मौर्य
All right, you just heard Keshav Prasad Maurya, newly minted Deputy CM. He kept his Deputy CM chair even though he had lost his seat. Well, it has a lot to do from where Keshav Prasad Maurya comes from and the caste that he represents, the Mauryas. Because viewers, earlier on, even though there were defections within the BJP, where a lot of Maurya leaders left and went to the Samajwadi Party, it was Keshav Prasad Maurya who galvanized, they say, the Maurya community, and the Maurya community largely did go with the BJP. So even though he's lost his seat, important in terms of caste politics and retained. Let's cut across right now to our guests this evening. Joining me is Manisha Priyam and Javed Ansari. The biggest optics today, Dr. Priyam, we'll begin with you and we'll cut across to Mr. Ansari after that, was the fact that you didn't quite see a Yogi Adityanath speech. The optics had more to do with the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Did you see this as the launch of possibly the campaign for the BJP in 2024?
Undoubtedly, this swearing in was the launch of the 2024 campaign for the BJP. And you can see that Yogi Adityanath has been accepted by the BJP as its chief ministerial candidate, a strong face in the state of Uttar Pradesh. But the cabinet is something that has risen above whatever factionalism and party political politics that you heard about within the BJP. Keshav Maurya is back as deputy chief minister. But so is Swatantra Dev Singh, who had been outside doing the party fold work. He's also within the cabinet fold. You also have Sanjay Nishad, you have Baby Rani Maurya. So the BJP consolidating really its OBC vote base. The BJP also consolidating, whatever annoyance the Brahmin community may have had. You see the coming in of Brajesh Pathak. But it also means that on two fronts, the BJP has been able to stitch a new coalition. Its erstwhile victory in 2017 had relied on smaller caste coalitions in eastern UP. Now those parties have gone away to the SP, but the BJP seems to have stitched up its own alliance of the Nishads, the Mauryas, the Kushwahas, and the Kurmis. The only caste that remains outside now is Rajbhar's caste. So more or less the BJP stitched a coalition of its own potential now. And that's very, very important. It's also a mandalization of the political party that you can see. Accommodation also of AK Sharma, who's been an erstwhile bureaucrat from the state of Gujarat. So you can see that this particular coalition is a stitching together of various groups. Obviously, it's Prime Minister Modi in command, but it's the Modi-Yogi duo that's leading the pitch in the state of Uttar Pradesh.
Right. Well, also very important and interesting inclusion in the cabinet was, there were a lot of misses, but the inclusion was also 2 Yadavs. Last time, there was only 1 Yadav, and this time 2. Let's cut across to Javed Ansari right now. Javed, what do the optics suggest to you? You've been following politics for a while. Was it all about Yogi Adityanath? Was it all about the Prime Minister Modi there launching his campaign 2024, or was it also about Yogi Adityanath straddling two worlds of Hindutva and development?
Certainly about Yogi Adityanath too. You can't exclude one at the expense of the other. It was both, but certainly it's about Yogi Adityanath. This is his second innings, and if Yogi Adityanath successfully completes his second term, I do believe that he'll be a contender for Prime Ministership if and when Prime Minister Modi decides to abdicate, because Prime Minister Modi will be 70 plus at the end of 2000. In a couple of years, he will have crossed 75. That's the threshold that the Prime Minister had kept for keeping people out. But I'm sure they will make an exception from him. But so whenever Prime Minister Modi decides to call it a day, Yogi Adityanath, if he completes a successful second term, will be a powerful contender for that number one position. Having said that, I have no doubt in my mind that this is the kickstart of Prime Ministers of BJP's 2024 election campaign. BJP is perpetually in election mode, and they will start from here. The Prime Minister made his intentions very clear when the day after the results, he did a 2-day yatra of Gujarat. So they never take their foot off the accelerator. And what you witnessed today is just the first chapter in a long drawn campaign to regain power in 2024.
All right, Javed, you're going to come right back to you, and we're going to cut across after this quick break to Rahul Srivastava. He's also joining us right now in the studio. Well, Rahul has a very interesting take on what the optics possibly suggested today, but we're going to also break down the cabinet for our viewers. Who's been included, who's been left out? We gave you some names earlier, but we're going to give you more. To stay with us, a quick break. Very good evening, viewers. You're watching our rolling coverage, and it's been rolling ever since this morning, where Yogi Adityanath took oath, his coronation ceremony right here at the Atal Bihari Vajpayee in Kana Stadium. Well, the oath-taking ceremony just got over a couple of hours ago. It was a packed house. Right now, it's completely empty, understandably so. But lots of big names in the cabinet, big changes as well. We're going to break it down. A lot of misses as well in terms of curious case of a lot of names being dropped. Why so? We're going to break it down later. But the day today was all about optics. If political messaging, is a tool, then the BJP used it best. I want to bring in Rahul Srivastava, who's been with me through the course of the day as we've been telling this story of the coronation of Yogi Adityanath, pretty much etching history, coming back after 37 years. It's not happened ever that any government consecutively forms government in Uttar Pradesh. He's done so, gone into the annals of political history, not just UP but in India. Rahul, just by sheer optics of it all, when we were here, when we were speaking to the cadre, and through the day we've picked up on it as well. Strident Hindutva, the subaltern Hindutva, live and kicking, reflecting in its cadre, reflecting in its political messaging, Sushasan, security, law and order, development. Yogi Adityanath striding both, these pillars. On the other hand, the Prime Minister himself and the kind of optics around him today pretty much built the campaign for 2024.
Yes, Preeti, if you close your eyes to that oath ceremony of 52 men, what does it look like? It looked like a campaign, launch of a campaign.
And 4 women.
And yes, 4 women, including 4 women. Now, eventually, what I see through this whole exercise which was carried out today is that the BJP, one, has created a new caste dynamics in UP. One very important element which I have now scrutinized is that till the last cabinet led by Yogi Adityanath, of the 24 members in the cabinet, cabinet ministers, there used to be nearly 16 of them were upper caste, while rest of them were OBC, SCs and others. The BJP not only has changed its demographic base, but also has changed its demographic face in the cabinet ministers. This is the first time the BJP has more OBC and SC ministers in the cabinet rank. what last time it happened, that there were more general or upper caste in the cabinet ministers, while the Rajya Mantri or the Minister of State, who virtually don't have much to do, don't have much powers, these were given to the OBC and SC. This time around, it's a very healthy blend, but the OBC and the SC have found better representation than the general. That's a big shift in BJP's politics, because it was always known as the upper caste ki party, and though it has brought in Mr. Brajesh Pathak instead of Mr. Dinesh Sharma, that's one big element. And why has the BJP done it? Because for the BJP, this caste arithmetic, along with the chemistry of Hindutva, is that worked on the ground very well. Even in this election, this is the fourth election when it has worked for the party, and the party has decided that Hindutva is one big element on which its campaign and its political future templates will be built on. And that is why it is that Modi, Yogi, Hum Do, Hamare Do template which is being created, in which that stridence that Yogi Adityanath provides to the Hindutva campaign or the Hindutva drive with the BJP, 365 days, and that's what the BJP wants. And that is why a show which is unprecedented for a chief minister under Narendra Modi. Rest of the states, if you see the function, it seemed as if it was a function because of Narendra Modi, not anywhere the picture because of the image of the chief minister. This is one state where the chief minister does have an image.
Well, you're there. It's quite a cult following here. I appreciate all our guests for joining us, but do stay on. Do stay on. I'm going to come right back. We're going to slip into a quick break. Then we're going to break down the newly minted cabinet of Yogi Adityanath. We were talking about the caste dynamics of it all. Who's been dropped, who's been kept, and why. Stay with us.